And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I am Anthony Irwin. I was gone for a little bit. I was traveling a little over the weekend. Almost died, fell off a mountain, or my father-in-law almost fell off a mountain. Long story there. Nobody needs to hear about that. The big thing is the Lakers, in the meantime, have all of a sudden become the hottest team in the NBA behind one of the most – that was an exaggeration. This isn't an exaggeration. The Lakers' young core is one of the most exciting in the NBA, and it took forever to get there. But tonight and last, when they beat the Warriors, have been a lot of fun. I am joined tonight by Matt Vazine. I got the last name right, I think, this time, right?
Yeah, it took you about a year, but I think you nailed it.
It's like Byron figuring out the kids' names.
Exactly.
It takes a little bit of time. But you are coming here off of the Lakers Outsiders podcast. We used to do the Lakers Outsiders podcast together back in the day, and figured we'd have you on. We'll talk a little bit at the end of the show about this Lakers Twitter gathering that should be a lot of fun in the middle of this month. But let's go ahead and jump right into this game here. And the Lakers wind up beating the Magic 107-98. It was never really – it was a semi-close game, but it wasn't really ever in doubt, I never felt like, right?
Yeah, they went into the half with a lead, but, once you saw the way the Lakers were playing in the third quarter, you figured that they'd be able to pull it out. Even when they were losing, like you mentioned, even in the first half when the Lakers were down, it felt like they were the better team tonight. The second half, they just took it up. They stepped it up a notch and pulled it out.
It was the Magic were playing. They played last night. They played the aforementioned Warriors, and Nikola Vucevic didn't play in tonight's game, and he would have been. He's arguably their best player, the best overall player, especially on the interior. Anytime you're starting Jason Smith, it's not going to go very well for you. But what I found really fun or interesting to watch, what I found noteworthy tonight was the Lakers getting out in transition, and this is something that we've been wanting to see all year, is just let the kids run. Let the kids get out there and have fun playing. And I don't know how many times I saw on Twitter tonight, this is what we've been waiting for all freaking year, right? Who stood out, do you think, to you the most?
There's three answers that, pop up into your head right away. It's tough to, pick one. But, we had three players in double figures, and they each had 20 points for the first time together as a group in Randall Clarkson and Russell. You can choose either of them. Any of them, all three had exceptional games, some of the best games they've had all year. If I had to pick one, I'd go with probably, Jordan Clarkson tonight was 5 for 12 from three-point range. So he took 12 threes, but since the All-Star break, he's been unbelievable from three-point range. I don't know the exact percentage, but it's, I think, above 45%. His hot shooting has just continued.
He and I think I saw, I think it was Drew Unga tweeted out tonight that D'Angelo Russell is shooting something like 45% from three, in his last 50-ish attempts, which is, it's a small sample size, but I'll take it.
Yeah,
it's not a huge sample size, but it's not a minuscule one either. It isn't like 2-3 games where he just runs out there and goes on a tear. Those two guys, they've been talking about it all season, and they seem really close. They call each other Brody, which I think is hilarious. But they keep on talking about, we want to be the front court or the back court of the future, and that's a lot of fun. It's a great duo to have.
I think our job as Lakers Twitter for the rest of the year is to come up with some nickname. There's been some floating around Twitter, Splash Brodies and a couple other ones, but I think our job is to find a nickname for it to stick with them.
I just tweeted out a second ago, Showtime Deloaded.
Okay.
Which it happened, One thing that has been, an interesting talking point, we'll get to some more specifics about the game here in a second, but one trend that's kind of popped up is, I would say that the larger national media or whatever keep talking about are Laker fans happy that they're winning or sad that they're winning? Hey, it's great that the core has developed, but they're going to lose the pick. You go ahead, pick it up. I'll build off of what you say, but I think that's kind of lacking perspective.
Yeah, I think we agree on this. Before the season started, I don't think any of us even thought that we had a chance of keeping the pick because we thought we'd be better than what we have been so far. But if games like tonight, I just don't agree with people that are upset with, winning a game like this, because this is exactly what we wanted to see from game one of the year, where Jordan Clarkson, Julius Randle, and D'Angelo Russell have really good games. Our young kids, I think as long as the young kids lead us to a victory, I don't think any of us are going to have a problem with it. If Ryan Kelly is dropping like 35 points or like Marcelo Huertas is the reason we win a game, then that's something that, we're not trying to see this year. But if the kids are playing well, I think we just got to live with whatever result that happens.
Right. That's the thing, is that the frustration last year, while Jordan Clarkson was showing his flashes, is that you would often see Ronnie Price finishing games. And if the Lakers won one of those close games, it was a net complete loss, right? Because not only did they, harm their chances of keeping their pick, which was a larger issue last year, right?
Absolutely. No, last year it's top 5 predicted or top 5 protected, and that's something that we absolutely needed to have. And clearly it's paid off this year. Look at how D'Angelo Russell's played the last 7 games. So
right.
But it's a completely different scenario for this season is what we're trying to get at.
Right. And I just, like I said, it lacks the perspective of what's way more important than the chance at maybe keeping a top 3 pick that nobody considered a possibility anyway, is the development of these kids, right? And that's not to say that it's mutually exclusive. That's not the case at all. Right, they can develop, and the Lakers can keep their pick. I just don't think the Lakers or fans should be going out of their way to feel upset about winning basketball games while D'Angelo Russell, Jordan Clarkson, and Julius Randle go out there and do their thing, which they have been tonight.
Yeah, and to those that don't know the exact percentages, the best case scenario for the Lakers this year is a 55% chance of keeping the pick, because they're not going to catch Philadelphia, so if everything goes right, it's a 55% chance, which is, obviously just more than a coin toss. So I still think they're going to finish with the second worst record, which is why these wins don't really bother me. But it's just, we got to live with the results if the young kids keep playing like this.
Right. And again, it's also slightly selfish on my part, and maybe anybody's part who's interested in rooting for wins, but it's so much more fun to be a Laker fan when you're having fun watching a win happen, right? Last year was completely miserable because even when the Lakers were playing well, there was the Lakers beat the Celtics in overtime, and I walked away from the game last year pissed, angry, and this year
I was at that game and I walked out of Staples Center a little pissed off. And I was pissed off.
Right, it's like. I was traveling back from up north when the Lakers beat the Warriors, but I was freaking out, Michael. What the hell is going on? I can't believe this is going. And there was not a single moment where I sat there and said, "Oh man, this is going to hurt our draft pick status." Not at all.
Look at in the last week and a half, we've had the D'Angelo Russell 39-point game, the win against the Warriors, and then all 3 of the young players playing well tonight. That's probably the most fun we've had in like 2 years on Lakers Twitter. So, it's you just gotta enjoy it for now. It's not a big deal.
Right. So those are our the thoughts on tanking, and I've never really been as pro tank as some have been throughout the year. Because of the math that you talked about, I just don't think it's really worth it. And the fact that
we can go into this in other podcasts, but next year's draft is deeper, and there's a lot of different reasons why we have these thoughts.
Right. Yeah. Actually, we only have 3 topics to talk about, but yeah, the draft this year is pretty much 2 players deep, right? And if the Lakers lose their pick this year, they keep it for sure next year. Mm-hmm. And the thinking is, even if the Lakers, let's say they get the 3rd pick, right?
Yeah.
And that third pick maybe adds, what are we going to say? We'll say 3 wins to this total. Rookies don't add very many wins.
That's fair.
And then the development of these guys and an improved coach and maybe a free agent pickup, right? The Lakers aren't going to be, I don't think, in this scenario where they keep their pick, I don't think they'll be miles ahead next year where they are right now. And they wind up giving up a similar pick next year in a deeper draft. That would actually hurt you more than just giving up the pick this year and having something similar next year in a deeper draft. That's the thinking on my part. I hope everybody kept up with that.
Yeah, basically, a summary of that would be, we would probably take having the pick next year over the third pick in this year's draft is what I think you're trying to get at, which is, I would actually probably agree with that.
Right. So that's, and then there's also the whole thing of, all right, or the counterpoint to what we're talking about is that they could potentially, if they do keep the pick, they could draft somebody in that spot and trade them. And that's a nice asset to have as they're trying to build, a little bit more quickly this year, which fine. All right. I'm all right with that. I could get on board with that. But that starts with 1, keeping the pick, and 2, finding a trade partner who values the third pick or even the second pick as much as you might be able to get out of a 5th, 6th, or 7th pick in a deeper draft next year, right?
Yeah, I would say we would probably have a top 10 pick next year, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't see why not. This is all, barring some miracle where Kevin Durant winds up a Laker next year,
and
right?
LeBron's coming.
Yeah, if all that happens, then fine. You're looking at a completely different scenario, right? But based on how the last couple off seasons have gone, they wait a little too long on top end free agent X, and then the next level free agent winds up signing elsewhere. So the Lakers are just kind of they're left to scramble, and when they're left to scramble, that's where you don't get that huge an upgrade, or you wind up with Roy Hibbert, who is somehow the worst player on the Lakers statistically this year. Boy, I was wrong on that. So yeah, no, I'd say 7th to 10th pick next year is I'd be all right predicting.
Yeah, I would agree.
The other trend that's kind of popped up here is this tendency, for whatever reason, to credit Byron Scott for whatever's going on, or the the improvement or the progress of the Lakers, especially the kids. And my question is, what the hell?
Yeah.
Where have you been all season? Somehow you don't just flip the narrative on its head because the results turned out differently. The entire season, the story's been the exact same story, and now all of a sudden the Lakers have won a couple games. The kids are playing a little bit better, and instead of crediting the kids for developing, we automatically skip them and say it's all Byron. One, do you agree with my overall premise that I don't think Byron should be credited? And 2, where do you think it comes from?
I absolutely agree with you. I'm not going to sit here and give Byron Scott credit for making an easy, common sense decision to play the kids like 3 or 4 months too late. That just doesn't make any sense to me. This should have been something that happened from the beginning of the season. He completely messed it up. And then finally, since the All-Star break, he decided to just make the easiest decision and let him play, and it's worked out. You've seen Twitter all year. We've talked about this every single game, where it's just like, why aren't they closing games? Why aren't they getting more minutes? So no, absolutely, I don't really give him credit. It's just actually kind of annoying to see it happen and see some people give him the credit that he really doesn't deserve. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't even know how to answer that question.
I would say it's a tendency among sports fans, period, to want to credit leadership for whatever, when a player and a coach get into it publicly, the vast majority of the time, the public sides with the coach. You don't get to put down your leader. You don't, the unquestioned leader who, paces the sidelines and looks, captain-like. those guys get way too much credit. That's the number one reason I don't like college sports, because coaches get deitized. These guys, Calipari, Coach K. In football, you have Harbaugh and Urban Meyer, and it's all of a sudden, I'm not saying they don't have an impact, but they're somehow seen as gods while the players literally play for free. And now you have it where these kids, the Lakers core, develop, and it must be Byron. It has to be Byron. It has to be leadership. And that's not a leap we should be willing to take so willingly.
Yeah, it just seems like that would be so. I just feel like that's some of the opinion that hasn't really followed the team and known what's happened game in and game out with the quotes from Byron and just stuff that's happened that we see every single day. So I mean, I guess that's how they come up with that opinion, but I completely don't agree with it at all.
Right, and you make a good point here where all season when Byron is asked about the kids, mm-hmm. it's their intangible qualities that he can't have an effect on, right? Well, they just got to want him more. They just got to want him more. And then now all of a sudden that they want it at the proper level, and Byron has said all year that he can't help with want. We're going to credit this guy, or we're going to say that he got them to want it more.
How convenient.
It doesn't work that way. Logic doesn't work that way.
No. I'm a philosophy major. I can confirm that logic does not work that way.
Yeah, it's like the same people who happen to be crediting Byron right now are also the same who want to say Kevin Durant will never win a title, will want to say X player will never win a title, and that so-and-so just has championship grit. How do you get a championship? How do you get championship grit? You win a championship, right? So those guys, that premise doesn't work. It doesn't work until it works, and then you didn't really make a point in the first place, right? And now it's with the rookies. Well, they learned how to win. They learned how to win from the worst coach the Lakers have ever employed.
It's just they're trying to be contrarian in a way. They're just trying to spin it in a way that all of us don't agree with, and just go with that.
I also think too, there's some of the old school versus millennial kind of take on this, right? Where and I'm not, this isn't going to be Wall Street journaling saying, why millennials are the reason for whatever. I actually side more often than not with millennial point of views. Millennials, I think, or the younger generation, enjoys the idea that leadership doesn't matter as much. Like, what do you, if you were to go to Byron Scott during a practice and see him just running the guys up and down the court, you would kind of ask, well, Byron, what are you actually doing here, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
The old guard would walk into that practice and say, "You tell him, Byron. That's how you work a kid into submission and you get them to buy in." And I think that's where you see, when you see a lot of that point of view that Byron is getting these guys into shape, it's more often than not coming from somebody at least 50 years old and up.
Yeah, you think we can get Oscar Robertson on a podcast one day and get his thoughts on this whole issue?
He and I, he'd wind up punching me through my computer.
That'd be a great podcast. You and Oscar going one-on-one, talking modern basketball versus back in the day.
Oscar, your points were inflated. Click. All right. So, do you have any other thoughts on what else you think might be going into the Byron Scott situation with the Lakers development?
No, I just hope people do their proper research before coming up with an opinion on that. Go just read up on what Byron Scott has done from October to 2 weeks ago, and you'll probably agree with us after doing that.
Right. His quotes, just look up Byron talks rookies, and then that's it. You're set. Yeah. You're good to go. You're good to go.
If there's a summary we can have of October to Lakers Twitter and just hand that to people, that would have been really convenient.
Right. That should be, somebody's post should just be, all right, to those who think we are crediting Byron, here are all of his quotes about D'Angelo Russell. Here are all of his quotes about Julius Randle, and then that narrative goes away. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. We'll finish up. We'll wrap up the show here by talking about this Lakers Twitter gathering that we look forward to getting together. You go ahead and talk about it. Where'd it come from? All that good stuff.
I was just sitting watching, I think, a Laker game one day, and I came up with the idea of like we tweet about this. We tweet about the game, a good, like pretty much the same people every single game. So why not, meet up for a day for everyone that's in the area? So I came up with that idea about a month ago, and then I think we set it for March 18th for those that want to come in LA Live. We don't specifically know where yet, but I mean, there's so many places around there. Mm-hmm. Open invite. Anyone on Lakers Twitter that wants to come, we'll all be there. Come grab a drink whenever you can make it for like 20, 30 minutes. That's fine. But I think it should be fun. Yeah,
I honestly, that's the one thing that Twitter has really brought to the table and added to the experience of being a Laker fan is there are so many like-minded people out there, and like-minded good people, which is really nice, and when somebody's, if you were to go on and say, hey, I passed the bar, I'm a lawyer now, right? Mm-hmm. You'd get X amount of people saying, congratulations, Matt, way to go, If I go on there and I say, my dog died, I'd get all kinds of people on there. Oh, man, I'm so sorry to hear that. I love my dog, anything,
Absolutely, yeah.
All that good stuff, all that support. And that wasn't there 4 or 5 years ago. So I really like the idea of getting everybody in the same place. And we could have, basically an expansion of this podcast. We won't actually be recording. I'm probably going to have a few drinks in me.
It's Lakers Suns, so I mean, Lakers Suns, you probably have to anyways. You have to drink a little bit.
Exactly. What's the game?
Lakers Suns.
Oh, man.
We're going to be – that's a game, that's like a huge tank game since they're the third worst record with the second worst record. But to just add to your Twitter thing, this is the first time in my, I think, life that the Lakers have been this bad. And if there was no Twitter, this would be miserable. I mean,
miserable.
You're on your own, just like watching the game, be like, all right, cool. Like another loss. We're 12-50 or whatever we are. So Twitter is definitely tough. It sucks that the Lakers are this bad, but Twitter has helped so much for all of us, I'm sure.
Right.
Get through these last couple of years.
Yeah, I'd be sitting there writing out like 3-sentence tweets onto a notepad. Just to myself. Yeah. I'd wind up like I'd write some terrible pun. Somebody would pick it up and hit me in the back of the head with my own notepad. All right, so that does it for tonight's Lakers Late Night Podcast. Again, the Lakers wind up beating the Orlando Magic behind. We'll just go ahead and give these numbers because they're so much fun to say out loud. D'Angelo Russell, 27 points, 3 assists, 3 steals, 2 rebounds, on 11 of 19, shooting 2 of 5 from 3. That's not too shabby.
Nope. I don't know.
I'll take that. Jordan Clarkson, similarly impressive with 24 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 9 of 17 shooting and 5 of 12, like you talked about earlier, from 3-point range. And then finally, Julius Randle with another double-double, 23 points, 11 rebounds on 9 of 16 shooting. He shot 2 threes. That's interesting.
Yeah. And then he got overshadowed tonight, but Larry Nance had 8 points, 10 rebounds, 2 steals on 4 of 9, so in 20 minutes. So quietly, he had himself a pretty good game, too.
Yeah, Coach Nick at B-Ball Breakdown is basically Nance's biggest fan. Like, Nance makes all those plays that a coach would love. So Coach Nick on B-Ball Breakdown is always vining Nance. So that's kind of cool to see. And he's somebody who everybody kind of laughed at the draft pick.
Yeah, no, we all said it was a reach. Why do we get him in the first round? But, I mean, he's exceeded, I think, everyone's expectations this year.
Most definitely. All right, so again, that does it for tonight. The Lakers' next game, because I'm awesome at this. Come on, where is it? Nope, that's not it. Lakers' next game. This is awesome radio, by the way. They play the Cleveland Cavaliers on
I should have known. Thursday.
Yeah, on Thursday. I should have known that one. That's my bad. Kobe is supposedly 50-50, but we all know he's playing in that game.
That's why he didn't play tonight.
Yeah, he's playing in that one. So go ahead and those tickets are safe to buy. All right, thank you very much, Matt, for joining us tonight. Anything that we should be looking forward to on Lakers Outsiders or anything from you?
No, I mean, really, the Twitter meetup's the next big thing.
A summary of Lakers Twitter for anybody who thinks Byron should be credited. That's going to be great.
Yeah, if you support Byron, come to this meetup. We'll have a chat.
Outside. I actually have an article coming out tomorrow on this very topic, on crediting Byron Scott. So look for that tomorrow. I'll probably drop in the morning sometime. So that'll do it. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much, Matt, for hopping on.
Thanks for having me.